With the All-Star break officially behind us, it's now time to lock in and get our fantasy baseball squads ready for that second half playoff push. In today's video, I'm breaking down 10 players that I believe can break out, turn it around, guys who could become potential league winners and help carry your team to a fantasy baseball championship. Now, a little quick heads up here. This isn't my typical waiver wire video. Most of these guys probably aren't available on your waiver wire, but they could be great trade targets to go out and get to go buy low on, or just a great confidence booster if you already have them rostered on your squad as we head deep into the summer months. Like it, hype it, bang it. I'm Chris, and welcome to Number 2 Sports. Okay, first up here, a breakout pick by many, myself included. We touched on him quickly in my last week's video. After mashing 32 bombs and 113 RBI last year, with great contact and solid plate discipline, I thought we'd at least see something similar. But between just injuries, poor play, and maybe just some bad luck, Vinny Pasquantino, Vinny P the Sasquatch, has just been one of the bigger disappointments in all of fantasy baseball this year. But I do think he can turn it around and finish the season strong for a few reasons. First off, he has just been a bit unlucky. All his expected stats, even though they don't jump off the page at you, they aren't anything overly impressive, are better than his actuals. He's rocking a low BABIP, and he just has a terrible home run to fly ball ratio, like a career worst, not even close, like miss the backboard type shit on a free throw at 5.8%. where it's usually closer in the upwards range of 11%. And just for reference here, the MLB average usually hovers around 10% each year. Another thing with Vinny P is just his contact rates have always stayed pretty steady, even this year. It'd be a major red flag if all of a sudden you couldn't put the barrel on the baseball or couldn't put his bat on the baseball or like have some drastic change, but everything is kind of similar to 2025. If anything, it's actually a little bit better. So he's just putting balls in play, but he's just not seeing the results. And lastly, this just may be more of a gut feeling, so you can do with it what you please, but we had 2 years of great hard-hitting metrics from Vinny P from 2024 to 2025, and we've just seen sort of an unexplained dip this year. Maybe he's been battling like a nagging injury, or he tried switching something minor up in his hitting mechanics. You honestly don't really know. But before he got hurt, we did see glimpses of that 2025 version of Vinny P from about May 31st to June 13th, 59 at-bats. He had a 49% hard hit percentage, a 90 mile per hour average exit velocity, and around a 270-ish expected batting average, while striking out only 15% of the time. All pretty big improvements of his season-long stats. I'm hoping that hand injury didn't derail any sort of momentum that he was gaining heading into the All-Star break, and I'm hopeful we can see more of the Vinny P of 2025 to close out this year, and try and salvage a lost season for him, and really a lost season for the Royals. And I think as the summer comes on, the Royals are farther and farther and farther out of contention. I think those swings may become just a little bit looser, and I'm hoping to see some better production out of Vinny P to close out 2026. All right, and the next guy up, after enjoying a really productive 2025, there were some expectations heading into the year for him, especially in a new home, who was just disappointed to a certain degree, probably drafted everywhere, but not rostered everywhere anymore, and only 70% ownership on Yahoo. We have Brandon Nimmo from the Texas Rangers. So after hitting 20 plus ding-dongs and stealing double-digit bags in his previous 2 seasons, Nimmo definitely has some ground to make up in the second half to reach those numbers again. Nimmo has also just been pretty unlucky. He has the lowest home run to fly ball ratio at 8.7% since his rookie season way back in 2016. That's over 4 points below his career average, so it's a big discrepancy. Now, some of this could be due to the fact that Nimmo's peak home run seasons 24 to 2025, he pulled the ball just a lot more often. This year, his pull percentage has dipped to 31.5%, and his pull error percentage is at a career low outside of 2022 at just 12%, which is below league average. But everything else under the hood, if we're looking at his StatCast page, not just power related, has actually got better since last year. His expected WOBA is 379, his expected slugging percentage is 522, and he has an expected batting average of 293, all way higher than his actuals. Nimmo was also just hitting the ball harder at 52.4%, barreling the baseball at 13.1%, and has an average exit velocity of 92.6 miles per hour, all career highs and in or near the 90th percentile in baseball and up. Like his bat speed has stayed true, actually slightly increasing, and his tack angle has also increased as well. Like I said, everything is actually just way up or better than last year when he hit 25 home runs. And no, I don't really think it's the ballpark dimensions either, going from the Mets to the Rangers this year. Stats on stats, all stats going straight up your ass right now, with all his contact metrics up as well. Nimmo should just be enjoying a way more productive season, and it just hasn't happened for him yet for whatever reason. But I'm bullish he can get some more luck, come into some more luck, see some positive regression in the second half. Texas does have a lot to play for. We want guys to have something to play for through the summer months, and I'm hopeful, again, just to see some positive regression. But remember, there's no guarantee it happens. I always just think of that perfect example with Matt Olson years back. With a Yahoo rank of 338, I think Nimmo is a great buy low target or shallow 3 outfielder league ad if he's still available. So this next guy's mostly available in a majority of leagues here. You got to have at least one guy widely available, or like, who even am I, man? With a roster rate of just 10% in Yahoo, a young hitter with all the physical tools needed, we got Cam Smith from the Houston Astros. So just looking at his Savant page here, Smith has a great barrel percentage. He has a great hard hit percentage. He has 98th percentile bat speed, just whipping that thing out there, and 114.7 max exit velocity, with also good or decent plate discipline. He just hasn't seemed to be able to get over the hump like other young hitters have, consistently putting good production out on the field. He has a low BABIP of 254. His expected stats are way higher than his actuals, and he makes solid contact. His swinging strike percentage is a little elevated at 12.5% though, and we love to see him hit the ball in the air more. Remember what I always say, when you hit the ball in the air to your pull side, good things generally tend to happen over time. But again, this is just a young hitter with elite physical tools, good plate discipline, and a strong source of quality contact. At some point, things are just going to click for him, and I'm hoping we see that in the second half of the fantasy baseball season. Okay, and next up, we have someone who was one of the hottest hitters out of the entire MLB before he broke his hand way back on May 18th. He's in the back catching position, something my buddy Mark loves to do on Wednesdays. The Savant page is off the charts, even though it's technically not qualified yet. It's the hard-hitting backstop, Brian Jeffers from the Minnesota Twinnies. Now, I do think a lot of people might have actually forgot about this guy. He's only 30% rostered in Yahoo, but I get it. As a C, with seemingly like the most options we've had in recent years at that position, I do understand there's just no sense in really holding him if you didn't have room. But on average, he has been ranked as a top 50 player in 2026, practically hitting everything hard at career high rates. Some of them like not even coming close, really. The bat speed's up, the pull air percentage up, the attack angle's up, and he owns a somewhat sustainable BABIP of 310. Jeffers' contact rates have took a big jump forward as well, and with his expected WOBA right around 390, I still think he could be one of the more productive catchers to close out the year for power, even if we do factor in a little regression, a little inevitable regression like we might see in the second half here. I do like Jeffers as an ad in all leagues if you don't already have one of the top back catching options already on your roster. Now, this next one has a lot more to do with like a mental reset, the home ballpark, and potentially just a shift in team dynamic and motivation as we embark towards the final couple months of the season. Another disappointment so far, besides maybe the steals category where he continues to just defy logic, we have Josh Naylor from the Seattle Mariners. So fresh off a fat new contract, Naylor has definitely not lived up to expectations this year. Well, really the entire Mariners team hasn't, outside maybe a couple guys. It's cold, wet air up in Seattle the first few months of the season. Everybody knows that, and especially like we see with Julio every single year and other guys, they definitely seem to turn their seasons around July through September. We are right around that time now too, after the All-Star break, where teams on the bubble need to buckle down and figure it out. And the Mariners are no exception. They're going to make moves at the deadline. They're going to switch up the clubhouse vibes. Julio should be back playing better. Hopefully Cal Raleigh too. Naylor was on an 8-game hit streak heading into the break. He's had over 90 RBI in the last 3 seasons, and he continues to have the green light on the base paths. But definitely some of his hard hit metrics are lacking compared to career norms. But he is making the most contact that he has in recent years. I just think this entire Mariners team should come out better with the warmer, thinner air up in Seattle now over the next couple months. And I think we should see some of those power levels from Naylor restored to more career norms. I think Naylor is a great buy low candidate if you want some speed, power from your corner infield spot. Okay, now we'll quickly go through 5 honorable mentions here. And first up, Cade Anderson. I feel like I've talked about him so much now. You guys are probably sick of me hearing about him. Pretty much just talking to a brick wall. smashed my head through a brick wall. And maybe I'm just putting too much pressure on him now too, like with that potential NTS curse. So I do gotta dial it back for my boy. I gotta dial it back for the Mariners. I just can't help it though. He looks so freaking good. Like he has a 41.4% strikeout rate and a 3.8% walk rate. His 37.5 K minus walk rate is the highest of any pitcher in the minor leagues with at least 70 innings pitched by like a huge margin. The runner-up is at 25.3%. So it's not even close. Like, is my bias just completely out of control? Or are you guys seeing what I'm seeing too? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm curious how many other Cade Anderson truthers are out there. Let's just keep dick riding the Mariners a little bit here, and this next one's just pretty straightforward. Brian Wu. Now, like, I just think Wu is a lot better than he's pitched so far this season. Yeah, his 4.23 ERA is pretty ugly, it's pretty nasty, and it has definitely been an annoying season if you draft him like most people draft him as your ace and something to be stabilize your rotation the entire year. But it doesn't look, if we look underneath, that any of his underlying skill set has changed. Nothing's really different. His ground ball rate maybe and his strikeouts are down a little bit, but his expected ERA is 3.51 with still an absurd chase percentage. I do honestly think Wu has just been one of the more unlucky pitchers in all of baseball. And I expect going forward after the All-Star break in the second half of the year here for Wu to have an ERA under 3 or at least close to it, as he and the Mariners both try to get back on track, like we've talked about earlier. I just do love Wu as a buy low target for every single league. And then we'll keep going with Kyle Karros. Now, I know I just highlighted in my previous waiver wire video from last week. If you haven't checked that out, make sure you do. There was lots of good players mentioned with potential that we talked about adding before the All-Star break, and other bounce back candidates too that are probably still floating around on the waiver wire. So make sure you check out that video. But Karros has just been quietly being one of the best hitters in baseball over the last month and a half. There's just no denying that. And if you pair that with everything else we said in that video, and with him getting to play half his games in the friendly hitting confines of Coors Field over the hot summer dry months, there's just a lot to be bullish about Karros' outlook to close out the year. And he's literally one of the main players I'm intrigued about to see what he's going to do, to see if he can continue to keep up this production to close out the 2026 season. I'm super interested. Okay, I promise you this is the last of the Mariners glaze here. This is insane. Kind of just shows you how disappointing of a season they've had so far, that I have Naylor, Julio, and Brian Wu here. Oh, Cade Anderson doesn't count because he hasn't been called up, but that's just crazy. I'm out of control right now. But this next one here, I already said it, Julio, it's just based simply on his career splits. Like, I usually don't give stats like that too much weight, too much power, but I just kind of believe that is who Julio is now. Julio just plays better in the warmer, drier air up in the summer months up in Seattle, and just doesn't do well in the cold. I think I've been saying it for 2 years now. If Julio played somewhere warm like all year round, he'd just legit be an MVP candidate every single year. Yeah, I know there's 4 Mariners in this video. Whatever. I don't care. We all know, or at least most people probably know it, Julio is a great buy low target. I think he's going to have a strong second half finish like he does every single year. And if you can get him at any sort of discount, I'd highly recommend doing it and let Julio help you on your goal to bring home a fantasy baseball championship. Okay, and we'll keep going with Tyler Scrotum. Now, this one is definitely an honorable mention because I don't know how many people are actually worried about Soderstrom. I have seen his name come up a few times in things over the last month or so I did want to include him. You guys tell me down below. Are you worried about Soderstrom or expecting another big second half from him again? So over the past 2 seasons, Athletics home ballpark has been the 6th best in home run park factors for left-handed hitters, especially considering talking about the less drag on the baseball potentially and the weather just warming up, heating up over the summer. His best 3 months last year were July, August, and September. Soderstrom has added some bat speed, he's increased his attack angle, and he is pulling the ball at a career high clip of 16.7%. And since June 8th, he's just hitting the ball hard, 47% of the time. He has a 291 expected batting average and a 90.8 mile per hour average exit velocity. Combine that with a low BABIP of 258 where he's got a little bit unlucky. I'm expecting big things from the Scrotum to close this year out. All right, and let's finish this shit up with a couple first round pick busts so far this year. One getting absolutely way down by his pockets this year after signing a fatty contract, and the other potentially nursing some sort of back injury, causing him some significant problems at the dish so far. We got Rich Tucker from the Los Angeles Dodgers and Vladimir Guerrero from the Toronto Blue Jays. Both guys just having serious World Series hangovers in 2026. Now, Tucker has been looking like himself the last few weeks, hitting the ball harder and better. Maybe the contract was just weighing him down on his mind, and maybe just the lack of pressure to perform in the regular season, because the Dodgers simply just know with the talent that they have, it will carry them into a playoff spot no matter what. And all they do care about is just playoff time and winning another ring. It totally could have mentally affected him. They will want Tucker Wright just heading into the playoffs though, so I expect he will be trying to get out of whatever sort of funk he is, try and get in the groove over the next couple months here, and we could see a big uptick in production to salvage at least some of that first round draft capital that a bunch of you spent this offseason. And then for Vladdy, when I was speaking to my insider Blue Jays executive, who's actually just one of my high school buddies who watches every single game, he thinks Vlad definitely has some sort of back injury that's causing him to never really want to lift the ball in the air. Like, it's kind of actually absurd. Like, just look at this home run right here. I don't think I've ever seen one like that. That fast, that low of an angle, out to dead center. The All-Star break could have definitely given him the time off to rest, recover, and just get that back right, get that back feeling a little bit better going forward. And with the Jays currently last in their division and on the outside looking into the playoffs, they will need Vlad at his absolute best down the stretch to keep their hope alive of making another run in the 2026 season. And I am kind of doubling down here, but I would not be surprised whatsoever if we just see Vlad go on an absolute power surge, power streak to close this season out over the next couple months here. And again, just salvage maybe a little bit of that draft day cost for fantasy managers to close out the year. But all right, boys and girls, that's it for this video. It's a little bit different than my stereotypical waiver wire video that we have each week. Nothing really changed over the All-Star break. So if you haven't checked out my video from last week, definitely go check that out. There's still a lot of good guys to be added in all leagues. There's still a lot of good stash candidates. And again, I went over a few more bounce back candidates in that video as well. So I'll link it on one of these screens. But you guys are the best. I appreciate all the support, all the comments, all the likes, everything, all the views that you guys have been doing over the last little while here. I love you guys. It means a lot. And as always, have a good rest of your day, night, week, weekend, wherever you are. And I'll see you guys real soon.